So, hey, it's the girl K did come back out to you one more time. So today we have
Kevin Gale.
Use your first and last name, sure, they can stalk you down, but that doesn't happen. So anyway, as you know, we don't do cuts here. But anyway, so as I told you, I'll be doing things about financial aid, scholarships, and things like that. So we're gonna get into the episode, and hopefully this information can help you and your family. Let me just put a disclaimer: school ain't for everybody, but you can use financial aid for also like some certain trade schools. So hopefully it helps you and your family. Sit back and relax, okay? Let's talk about a little about. Also, he did my financial aid when I was in school. I don't use it as a degree or anything, but he was the person for it. So, yeah.
Well, hey everyone. As I said, my name's Kevin. I would beg to differ. You using that degree, right? Because you know what to do here. But basically, I'm an academic counselor at Kingsborough. Catch the wave. All right. But I've been a college counselor before that since 2006, and for the past about 9 years, I've been at Kingsborough helping college students. Before that, I was helping high school students get into college. So definitely when I was helping students, like Khadijah mentioned, getting into college, I definitely was knee deep in Fafsa.
My videos, right, Khadijah? It's Kdid. It's on YouTube. It's YouTube. Kdid. That's what we go. That's what we go for.
So as you know, as Kdid mentioned, I did help her when she was going to college. I don't know if she wanted me to mention where she went.
They know. So
okay, they know. All right. So. But I did help her out, and so I was knee deep in Fafsa and TAP and scholarship and all those things. As she did say, school's not for everyone. I'm an academic counselor, so I don't say that. I say school's for everybody, right? But truthfully, everybody can't really handle the process. But for those of you that do make the move to go to college or trade school, 2-year, 4-year, whatever you do, a certificate program, if you can get financial aid, it's great for you. You can get Fafsa, which is money that comes from the federal government. TAP, for those of you that live in New York State, is stuff that comes from Albany, money that comes from Albany in almost up to about $6,000 that comes from New York State. And if you live out of state, then usually your state has some specific money for the residents. And then also she mentioned scholarships, which can be merit-based. They can be for athletics, or they can be random. Stuff like your mom or your dad is a postal worker, you write with your left hand, you were born on a Tuesday or a Friday, right? As long as you do the application, you can get a scholarship, and there's also all other kinds of grants that come from the schools as well.
Where can they get sign up for scholarships? Where can they look?
So one of the main places that we always tell people is fastweb.com, fastweb.com, because if you go on Fastweb, you can create a profile, but there's a lot of different sites where you can just go on and create like a profile, and basically once you create the profile, put your email address, they'll contact you with scholarships that fit your profile all the time. Another thing is making sure that when you apply to the schools, you submit what the schools ask for, because many times they ask for financial documents, people don't submit them, they miss out on scholarships. Sometimes you're a part of certain organizations like Phi Theta Kappa, which is an honor society, and other organizations that have scholarships, and if you just follow up with that, you can get it offered to you by the school.
Yes. Also, different places like churches. Some churches give out scholarships, and the disabilities office, if you are a part of that, I got scholarships from there. Well, grants, so same free money. That's the point. I didn't have to pay it back, and it was good. And I got to finish out school, and ride with me. That's how it is. So more about financial aid. All 50 states get it. How does that work? Where can you apply? Things like that.
So two things. One, as long as you're in the 50 states, you should be able to get money from the federal government, and then your state has their different programs. Every state has a different program and how they do it. Here in New York State, we have TAP, which is wonderful. If you go to a SUNY school, like Kate did, we also have what's called, now they have the SUNY tuition grant. It's like $500. It's not that much, but it is a lot when you need money for school. All right. And so New York State residents get that. But the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, is at fafsa.ed.gov. Do not go to fafsa.com, fafsa.net, fafsa.gov, fafsa.ed.gov. You should not pay ever for the FAFSA because it's a free application for federal student aid. Free. So you should never be paying. You don't got to pay nobody to do it. It's not that difficult of a thing. As a matter of fact, the FAFSA now is much easier than when both of us were going to school, because the FAFSA now, you can actually, as long as you have the information from your parents' taxes, you can draw the information automatically from irs.gov and it populates your Fafsa. So all that income information that you're going to need, you put it on there. You're going to need your parents' date of birth, your parents' social, and everything that was on their taxes will be put on the Fafsa and TAP for those of you that live in New York. Another thing about the Fafsa is that, so if you're not a citizen or a permanent resident of the United States, you can't get federal aid. So that means if you're undocumented or if you're an international student, you can't get federal aid. International students usually go through the International Student Office and they have a student visa and they might get aid through that. There might be scholarships for you, but you can't get federal aid. And if you're undocumented, you can't get federal aid, but they do have some grants for people that are dreamers through the DREAM Act. If you're a part of that, DACA, if you were brought here when you were young by your parents and so on and so forth, there's some grants that you can get here in New York State. But federally, you wouldn't be able to get financial aid, but you could get some scholarships if you're undocumented. So just talk to your counselor, talk to your school, and find out what their requirements are and how you can pay for school.
So you said your parents. So that's 17 to about 24?
Yeah, so if you're 24 years old and over, or if you have a child, then you can be considered an independent student. Outside of those two things, you'd have to prove that you're independent. So if you are living on your own and you might not be 24, you might not have a child, you have to do what's called a dependency override to bring actual documents in to show that you live by yourself and you support yourself, which the schools, they make you go through a lot of hoops to really prove that. Yes. Because sometimes people just live on their own, but they're not really independent, so they do make you have to prove that. But unfortunately for some, yes, until you're 24, you got to provide your parents information to let them, you have to provide information to the people you live with. So you might not live with your parents, but like let's say you live with your grandparents or your aunt. If they don't have legal custody of you, that's going to be dicey. So one of the things is that if you know that you're living with someone who's not your parent that's taking care of you, it would be a good time before you apply to school to get official documentation that they are your legal guardian so that you can put them on the application.
Excellent. Another question is, like, if you're over 24 and you want to go to school, it seems like it's more easier to apply because you don't have to really do the parent part. Mm-hmm. So you can go to school anytime. Don't think it's only like a child thing. If you're a person who didn't want to go to school initially, mm-hmm. and you feel like you want to go back to school later in life, you could do that. You can see grandmas in there learning some stuff too. It's never too late to learn a new skill. And as you can see right now, a lot of people had a lot of education last year, but it kind of fell apart because of the pandemic. So mm-hmm. they went to school and they do new things to learn new skills to be able to help themselves in their life. What can people who are undocumented get, or what if, and also people who work like too much money, they have another, I know you talked about it before, they make too much money, their parents make too much money, they have a certain program just for them. I don't know the exact name, guys, I'm brain fart right now.
Well, in New York State, you can get the Excelsior,
yes,
which pays for your tuition. Only tuition, doesn't pay for room and board or anything else, just pays for tuition, but that's a big chunk of your educational expense. Right. So I believe right now it's for people that make, your parents make $115,000, $115,000 a year or less, and I believe it's gonna go up to, if it hasn't yet, up to $125,000. Okay. So as long as your parents make under that, which quite a bit of people are in that bracket where you don't really qualify for any of the low income aid, but your parents make that much, even together or by themselves, whatever, you can qualify for the Excelsior grant, which gives you free tuition here in New York State, covers your tuition.
Can you talk about work study, ASAP, and college discovery? I know it's a lot, but we need to know where you can get the free money. It's not like you go to school costs a lot of money, food costs a lot of money, these things cost a lot of money, and you want to make sure you get as much as you can out of. I say soak it all up. If you can apply for it, soak it all up. Before you even get into that, my school had a program, if you was on food stamps and stuff, that you were able to get. I went to Queensboro, mm-hmm. if y'all don't know. They gave you extra, they had a Key Food nearby, they also gave you money for Key Food with your food stamps, and they also gave you money to eat food in the cafeteria. The food was expensive, but the food tastes good, and I was always happy to get the free little tickets they gave me to do it. Don't feel ashamed. If they have different programs there, read, ask questions, and you never know what kind of help your school can actually give you. So.
And just to touch base on that program, my school has that program as well. It's called by different names, but that program, I know you had to change your major at one time, to make sure it was a career-driven major?
No, that was something different. That's disabilities office.
Okay, but I wanted to touch on that because some of the programs are like that. Okay. The one at my school that helps people that have like any public assistance. If you're on it, they can help you out. That one day you had to have a specific kind of major that would definitely lead to a job. So you couldn't like study liberal arts. You had to have like a definite job. Couldn't wait to make sure that when you finish school, you can start working. So just check out all of the requirements of the program so that you can get the aid that you need. So work study. Work study is from the federal government. Again, you do your Fafsa, you click the box that says yes. It's going to ask if you want to be considered for work studies and loans. Click yes. All right, even if you don't want the loan, say yes because you want to be considered. Doesn't mean you're getting a loan. It means you're being considered. I probably should talk about loans after this real quick. But yeah, so work study is basically like a pot of money that they give you, but you have to get the job at the school to get the money out the pot. Right. So work study, it can sit there the whole year. You never get a job. People be like, I have work study, I didn't get my money. Did you get a job? So you have to go to the job and then work. Yes, but you gotta pick your hours right because like I know when I had work study, it was $10 an hour. So if my pot was $800, once I worked 80 hours, that's the end of my money. Right. And so you can work a lot, and by like halfway through the semester, your pot is done, and that's the end of your money. So you have to make sure that you parcel it out and plan it out.
I had money left over on mine. I was tight. I had a couple of dollars.
You gotta work. You gotta work. All right. ASAP College Discovery. I work for College Discovery here at Kingsborough. All right. And we are a program that starts with you at the 2-year level, and we follow you all the way through. So we start with you at Kingsborough, any community college within CUNY, and we start with you there. Once you graduate, we go on to the SUNY level. If you're at SUNY, it's EOP. We follow you. If it's at a 4-year CUNY, it's SEEP. If you go to a private school, it's HEOP. And we also have a graduate grant. If you go to a SUNY school and you want your master's degree, we may be able to either pay some or all of your tuition at the master's level. So we start with you and we go all the way through. You can only go through those steps if you start with us. We give you extra money every semester. We also pay for your books. We also pay your fees. You get priority registration. At the SUNY schools, you move in early. You go on campus earlier just to make sure that you are at the same level of all the other students. It's usually for students who are low income and students who are like just under the regular admission profile for the schools. Some schools are more strict than others with that, but definitely for the low income. It's a great program. I've been there for 9-10 years and I've been helping people get in before that. All right, the ASAP program is similar, except it only helps you at the 2-year level. So you get the 2 years and they move you through your 2 years. They give you a Metro card. They also help you with a book stipend or helping you with books. You get priority registration. They also have special classes, and everything is geared towards helping you to graduate. Both programs help you with a counselor, also with tutoring. My program has less students, so we're a little bit more kind of focused on our students. I have like 90 students, so we're literally like their support system at school, but you'll get all that help. If you don't qualify for College Discovery, we'll always encourage you to see if you can qualify for the ASAP program and see what you qualify for. And see what suits you and definitely sign up. If you are coming to Kingsborough in the fall, all right, and you feel like
watching you could be a crazy person.
If you're coming to Kingsborough in the fall, if you're coming, which means if you got accepted and you're coming to Kingsborough in the fall, all right, come catch the wave. All right, but if you do, or if you're coming to Kingsborough, definitely see if you qualify for my program, College Discovery, or for the ASAP program, my program. So see which one you qualify for, if you do qualify, because it'll really help you while you're at school.
Definitely. You want the loans?
So loans, all right. Loans usually get a bad rap because they're loans. You got to pay them back.
I owe a lot of them.
Right, but loans will pay for what you need. That's true. You want your education, you want doors to open in life, and at the end of the day, your college experience is your college experience. Whatever you glean from it or use it, because like Kay did mention earlier, it might not end up being the thing that you're doing in life, but your college experience was not all about classes.
It really wasn't. It was more about the experience, especially because initially I did all Fafsa, well, my 2-year school, so I left 2 years with everything paid for. But I wanted to get out of my house because my house is kind of crazy. So I went to stay to Fastweb, New York, and it was amazing. I loved it there. The choir was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing. It was much different than New York City. New York City is like a melting pot of people. Upstate is more of the white people. And then, and the dust of everybody else in there. And it had a very high international I was around a lot of international students because a lot of people in my choir from international like places, different islands mostly, and because my family is Jamaican, I kind of fit in just right in those kind of atmospheres and stuff like that. And I paid, like I talked to somebody about it, I paid for honestly the experience of it all and having meeting new people, meeting like different things, going new places. We went to St. Martin together. We got to do shows and stuff like that. So you can do a lot of different things. I'm gonna say also, they have study abroad programs. How can you get into that? And can you use financial aid for those kind of things too?
All right, so I'm going to do the loans and study abroad. So with the loans, you have the unsubsidized and the subsidized Stafford loans. The unsubsidized loans are loans that you will pay for the interest of it. It'll accrue while you're in school. The subsidized ones will accrue afterwards. Okay? And so those, based on your need, they'll package you, which means that they'll offer you whatever loans you might need. I always say try to take what you need and not what you want, because if you take the loans, you might get a refund check and you're like, I only need 800, but I'm gonna take the 2,000 because I want the refund.
That's the problem though. When you're away, if you're in like New York City and you go to a hot expensive, it's probably a little bit better. But if you have state and you don't have a job yet, you need pocket money. So it's like I make sure I got the highest lunch package just in case I don't buy food. But you need other things. You need deodorant. You need shampoo. So you need things to get. Probably take a little, extra $500 or something like that.
Just remember,
get a job.
You got to pay the refund back.
That's the thing, yes.
Right? So that's the only thing. Don't be afraid of loans. Like Katie was saying, it's funding your experience. Don't be afraid of it, but be wise. I know that maybe she hasn't told you, but I remember when she went to Plattsburgh, she knocked that out in 3 semesters. Because she was like, I'm not taking an extra semester of loans. Right. And if I'm taking loans, you got to be wise. Take 20 credits, 20 credits, 20 credits. Y'all might not be able to do that, but she knocked it out. That was her plan. So she only needed 3 semesters of loans. And I tell my students that all the time. Like when my students that are at the 2-year level, like you're home, you're getting refund checks from Fafsa. Save some of that money. A lot of my students went away to school and they didn't have to take loans the first year or maybe the first semester, or they took a lot less than they needed because they saved their money. But the thing about it is just to make sure that when you leave school, you have a plan. You have a 9-month grace period, and once you get a job, you have to start paying it. All I can encourage you to do is when you don't have the money, make sure you tell them ahead of time, I'm not working, I need forbearance, I'm going through difficulty, like they did a moratorium or a pause on the loans during COVID. Just keep those things in mind. But when you can pay as little as pay as much as you can pay, whether it's like through the income based or you have to work out a deal with them, just pay your loans. Remember, they're federal loans. Right. So you want to make sure you're paying that, because if you try to get a house later on and you might need a federal loan, if you're doing that, they're going to remind you.
He's biting me right now.
They're going to remind you, hey, we want to sort you out, but you're always federal loan. So just all they want to see that you're doing is that you're paying it every month, whatever you can pay. So just make sure you do that. You can get the plus loan. Especially for graduate school, usually you can get a plus loan, or if you go to a private school, more expensive the school, you'll see a plus loan being offered, or you can get what's called a parent plus loan, where your parents' credit is basically taken into play and the loan is like in their name, but you are the recipient of the money. So the loans are a little tricky, but make sure you go over with your counselor to see what you need. All right, study abroad you can do, usually people do that in their junior year, maybe ending of sophomore year. Financial aid can pay for that as well, but you usually have to pay for travel and some expenses, but some of your financial aid can pay. I know my program, Cause Discovery and Seek, we have like scholarships for study abroad people, and sometimes depending on the program you're in, they might be able to pay your study abroad. But if you can do it, do it. And it might not always be a year or a semester. Some schools have what's called intensives, where you might go for like a week or 3
like
weeks.
Winter to summer program.
Yeah, and that's really good too, because you get the experience and you get credits, and you don't necessarily have to be out of the country for a very long time.
And you can also find a program for yourself. Like initially, I did theater, as you know, and they have this thing called regional theaters. They do it in different states and things like that. I ended up going to Iowa? Ohio? I forgot. It's Iowa, yeah. And initially, it wasn't something that they, had given credits for, but certain programs do give credit. This program wasn't initially given it, but I was like, I called up the place. I said, can you accept me in the program? They did. I gave them my headshots and my resume, and I asked them what they're going to be doing for the summer. So they had a whole curriculum they're going to be doing. They did 3 shows, 3 or 4 shows I think it was 3 shows for the whole summer, and we also did a cabaret, so it ended up being like 4 or 5 shows that whole summer. And based on the workload, was doing like painting. You would not think that theater people would be doing that, but we're painting and we're doing dance moves and all this stuff and acting. We put it into a curriculum and we made it like a curriculum base. I got 11 credits that summer. I had to take an extra loan out, but I got 11 credits, and honestly, it's experience. I would have never got that no other way, and going out there outside my comfort zone to really meet other people and see what's out there for me. And it was a cool experience. It was very different. places I go is very different. But I am happy for the experience. And then when you're doing it younger, it's much easier than when you're doing it older. Now I have a kid. It's like where I go, I do take KK with me. You know how she's my ride or die little girl. You can see her in all my videos. She's always there. You might hear her in the background right now. You know how we do. But just take the experience and have fun and enjoy your life. You know what I'm saying? Have any other financial aid or we'll say Section 8, my bad. You know, I talk about that too. But financial aid thing stuff you want to talk about?
Yeah, just ask questions. If you don't understand, ask. If you need help, ask. One of the main things people feel like, yeah, a lot of people feel like, oh, you know, mom, that stuff is difficult. Financial aid alone will make people be like, I'm good. Thanks.
Right. That's why I had to do mine because I wasn't with it.
Because when you finish it, sometimes they ask for verification.
We're coming, Sister Faye. Go.
We're coming, ma'am.
No, we're not calling for come.
Are you gonna edit that?
What happened around here?
We're doing the tape. We're coming, Sister Faye. We're coming.
No, I'm just telling you that when you don't see me.
Oh, Shen, come. Okay.
I'm not in this. Continue. It's okay, right. Guys. You understand my show. How we do.
All right. So,
these are the funny parts of the video, though. The shenanigans.
Yeah, these are shenanigans. But anyway, yeah, just remember that. Just be patient. Be patient. When I went to grad school, my loans, the first semester, they did not come in until the end of the semester. And I was through. I was like, I go to the financial office every week. I was like, what is the problem?
That's annoying.
I had to sign it. I had to sign like 3 times. I was like, this is ridiculous. But I couldn't afford it. So but you know what? The loans came in right when I needed to come in. And I appreciated that refund because I got the refund from the fall and the refund from the spring. It was hot.
That's good.
But at the same time, it taught me patience because I was like, yo, I'm not messing up my education, but you guys you're trying it. So just don't be discouraged. Ask questions. Go to your counselor. You know, as Kdid said, advocate for yourself. All right, advocate for yourself. The resources, there are so many resources out there and even at your school. People don't take advantage of it. They don't go to certain offices, don't join certain programs. Even scholarships. People are always cussing out high school seniors. Write the essay. Write the essay. I was one of those people. I didn't want to write the essay. Just write the essay. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. All right. So whatever you want to do to pursue any kind of higher education, whether, like I said, it's a trade program, a certificate program, 2-year, 4-year, master's, doctorate, go for it. Go for it.
Also, certain jobs, if you work, they help you pay back or just forgive your loan.
Tuition reimbursement sometimes.
Doctors, I believe, and if you do, if you work for the city, also for I think 10 years, I believe.
Well, if you work for any kind of community serving, kind of job like myself. Once you're working, or if you work with certain populations like low income and stuff like that,
I'm gonna try to see if I can qualify for that too, because you know I work with y'all at this point.
After 10 years, as long as you make 120 payments, which is 12 payments a year for 10 years. After you make the 10-year payment, then they forgive your loan.
What if you have 0 down? Do that count as? You know, like when you under income, they say 0 a month. Does that count as? It's technically not a payment.
Well, I've seen that recently where they'll send you and tell you like your thing, you know, based on what you earn, your payment is 0. I believe the $0 a month count as well because it's if they're evaluating you at 0, then as long as you don't default on the loan.
So I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. But you can double check just to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's honestly, I mean, last words or that's your last word?
That was my last word.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming and hopefully watch to the end. And we're blessed and highly favored. Bye. Thank you.